and we can finally play some rugby again in the Six Nations. Man, I hate that 2 week break. After 2 rounds, I know the players need rest, but it sort of just disrupts the whole rhythm and the flow and the excitement of the tournament. I don't like it. Should they have a break after 4 rounds, just before the final round, or should they just push through 5 weeks, get it done, smash it? And I don't like that little break right after 2 rounds. It just sort of breaks the rhythm of the whole thing. Anyway, I'm glad we're playing rugby again. We're going to take a look at Wales versus Ireland. A lot of news coming out of Wales. Obviously, Gatland walked the plank. Charette in as caretaker head coach. And so I think it'll bring a bit of respite for the Welsh. I think whenever there's a bit of a change, it brings a bit of renewed hope, a bit of renewed energy, just a clean slate, just a mental reset, and just some fresh ideas and fresh, just a bit of a fresh direction. I think the Welsh will be better this weekend. Sometimes when you're stuck in that losing habit and just in that rut of you can't get that elusive win and you start trying too hard, any sort of a change just helps. Just a bit of a fresh pair of eyes, fresh approach, and it just gives you a bit of renewed hope. And so I think the Welsh will be better. It is a new era for them, even if Charette doesn't, permanently get the head coach role. There will be that whole thing. Okay, this is a new era, clean slate, and so I think they'll have a bit of better energy. They'll be in a better mental spot, believe it or not. Even though they might have loved Warren Gatland, I think just that reset does wonders. Okay, let's start again. So I think the Welsh will be better. Some interesting moves. Some might even say some moves that make sense, like moving Ben Thomas from fly-half back to centre, where he's actually supposed to be playing, and bringing in a recognised fly-half like Anscombe with a lot of experience. Some might say that might even make sense, and that might just be what Wales need in this time, a bit of direction. The Welsh attack has looked poor, to be honest. They haven't looked like they could make a line break or score a try. Really, it hasn't been good. So let's see how Anscombe goes at fly. That's interesting. And then obviously Thomas running at centre, where he will be a bit more comfortable. So let's see how those changes go. Tommy Reffell's back, Jack Morgan. They are on the sides of the scrum. I like it. Both strong breakdown players. They put a lot of pressure on the breakdown. And so let's see how they can disrupt the Irish attack. Both those guys love hunting that ball on the ground. And so I actually thought Reffell was pretty good in that game against the French. He came off the bench, but very early in the game, and I thought he had a good game. Didn't feature against the Italians. Now he's back. So I'd like to see that combination. Morgan and Reffell, putting pressure on that breakdown. That's interesting. I think the Welsh will be better, as I said. I just don't think they can beat this Irish team. This Irish team is a good team. And Easterby, you've proved me wrong. I thought with Farrell out, the Irish would be sort of just 1 or 2% off. And man, they're actually better. They're much better than they were in the autumn of 2024. So Easterby's doing a fantastic job there. I like how he's rotating the players. So all of his moves that he's made have seemed calculated and well thought out. So I don't know if Farrell is pulling the strings behind the scenes or if this is Easterby, but I'm impressed. He's proved me wrong. Ireland have proved me wrong. They in fact looking better than they did at the end of last year. So they've made a couple changes too. Jamie Osborne coming in at fullback, and then Gary Ringrose, he comes in from the bench into number 13, and Robbie Henshaw, who played 13 last week, he's now moved into 12, and Bundy Aki drops to the bench. So I like that, bringing Bundy on in the second half to have a few barnstorming runs. I like it. Just give him a bit of a break as well. Jack Conan comes in for Caelan Doris. Doris has got a bit of a niggle, a bit of an injury. So does Kelleher. But Jack Conan has been looking very good coming off the bench. Strong ball carriers, dynamic, explosive in that second half whenever he's come on in the first 2 rounds. So that won't set the Irish back too much. Jack Conan's looking good. In fact, he's pushing hard, even though he's a reserve at the moment for the Irish, pushing for inclusion in the Irish Lions, British and Irish Lions. So I like the form Jack Conan's in. That's a good move. Josh van der Fleer, he never plays badly, that guy. Peter O'Mahony, the old guy, he had a great game last week. Tide Burn, And then Joe McCarthy. It'll be interesting to see. A lot of talk about him and the British and Irish Lions. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of form he can hit straight back into the starting lineup. So good to see Joe McCarthy. I'll be keeping an eye on his performance. Good player, strong player, good old school tight headlock, workhorse. And then, changes in the front row. Thomas Clarkson comes in. Finley Bealham drops to the bench. Dan Sheehan starting in place of the injured Keller. And interestingly, Sheehan's also taking over the captaincy. So that's an interesting move. Obviously, Doris is out, but there are some other experienced players like Omani, who's captained the team before. And, Jack Conan and those guys. Anyway, interesting. Dan Sheehan as the captain. I kind of like it. He's a dynamic guy, one of the best in the world. He's obviously respected amongst his peers as a great player. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes as leader on the field. Looking at the bench, Gus McCarthy, backup hooker with Keller's injury, Jack Boyle and Finley Bealham. James Ryan drops to the bench. And then Sam Prendergast's brother, Kian Prendergast, he comes onto the bench as well. And then obviously Connor Murray, Jack Crowley, Bundy Aki. So I've got a question for you guys about Connor Murray. He's a bit of an elder statesman as well. What is the plan with him always on the bench? If he's still the best in his position, he'll be playing, he'll be starting. But if you've got an elder statesman, very experienced player on the bench, and you've got a guy like Jamison Gibson-Park. Jamison Gibson-Park's one of the best in the world. So I don't think Connor Murray is necessarily mentoring Gibson-Park. So shouldn't the Irish be looking at putting a young scrum half on the bench, one for the future, and sort of let Jamison Gibson-Park mentor the youngster, mentor the next generation? What's the plan with keeping Murray around? Obviously, no disrespect to Murray. He's a great player, but you sort of got to wonder whether Cian Healy's and the Connor Murrays still getting game time off the bench if they, obviously if it's a massive game and you need that experience on the bench. But at some stage, you've also got to get the next generation there. You've got to give them game time. You've got to let them play. And so let me know what you think about Cian Healy and Connor Murray's further involvement with the Irish setup and taking up regular spots on the bench. What do you guys think about that? Looking at the Welsh team, Sherratt's made a whole host of changes. Blair Murray's come in, Ellis Mee, Max Llewellyn, Ben Thomas is moving to 12, Gareth Anscombe is in, as mentioned, Tommy Reffels back in, and then the whole front row changed. Wilgriff John, Elliot D, Nicky Smith, brand new front row. So let's see how they go. As I mentioned, I think the Welsh will be better this weekend, but I just can't see them causing an upset. They've lost 4 out of the last 5 games against Ireland. And the last 3 games against Ireland, they lost by 20 points or more. So I can't see them causing an upset here. I think Ireland will get a good win. They'll probably get a bonus point as well. But I do think the Welsh will be better, particularly in the first half. I think there will be a renewed hope and a renewed energy. And hopefully, this is the start of a better era for Welsh rugby. Hopefully, the guys in the boardroom, the administrators can get their act together, because Welsh rugby's problems are not just on the field with a flagship test match team. The problems run deeper, and hopefully the administrators and everyone can get together and find the right solutions for Welsh rugby. But I think Ireland will get a good win this weekend, and I think the Welsh will have a renewed energy and it'll be a good game. I can't wait to see it. Cheers.